Tonight, what we hope to accomplish is to share information with you about the Judicial Council's rulings on what happened at General Conference earlier this year, just to give you a basic frame of reference if that's all new to you. The larger United Methodist Church, global church, has a meeting every 4 years. And so the next regularly scheduled meeting is 2020. The previous one, of course, 2016. And in 2016, they decided to set up a special called General Conference to deal with a topic that had been part of very difficult conversations for a number of seasons of General Conference, and that being questions around LGBTQ clergy and also same-sex weddings. So 2019 was only to deal with those topics. And when that came about, there were a number of plans that were presented from a group that was called the Commission on the Way Forward. And some of you are very familiar with that. There was the One Church plan, which would have allowed for flexibility within the denomination based on context. There was also the Traditional plan, which advocated for more restrictions regarding what was already in the Book of Discipline, and then there was also a connectional conference plan, which I don't think even ended up on the floor getting done. There was also something called the Simple Plan, which advocated for removal of any restricted language within the Book of Discipline, and that did not make it to the floor. One of the other issues that they dealt with that came up would be an allowance for an exit if a church could not abide with what happened at General Conference, and we'll talk more about that in detail tonight. So then, all that was voted on at General Conference went into the more traditional side of things, and so that was the executive, not the executive branch, what would we call it? The legislative branch of the church? Yeah. And that went to the Judicial Council. So the Judicial Council is the judicial side of the larger church body. And what they did was rule on the constitutionality, not our country's constitution, but the United Methodist Church's constitution, the Book of Discipline, to make rulings on the constitutionality of what was passed at General Conference and whether or not it would be able to go into effect. So what we'll do tonight is talk about those Judicial Council rulings. Then after that, we also want to share with you, and that's what's on the cover sheet of the packet that you picked up tonight, other groups and movements that are afoot within the larger denomination and contact information for web links. We can tell you a little bit about each of those groups and what each of them are doing in response to what happened at General Conference. And then we want to talk about what's next for Aldersgate. So we'll present Judicial Council rulings, talk a little bit about each of the movements that are afoot, and then we'll talk about what's next for us as a congregation. And that's what we're hoping to accomplish this evening. We'll also allow some time for questions and answers if it's not too late at that point. But we do want to be very transparent about what's going on so that you're as aware as we are of what's going on. So I'll talk about Judicial Council first. They met in May of this year, and they struck down seven of the items that were passed. They supported 7 of the items that were passed that were deemed constitutional, and one of them was accepted with revision. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We did have a video we wanted to show you, which was a really nice, well-put 5-minute summary, and our wireless connection's not working enough to provide that, so I'll just tell you essentially what it says. The first one is that since the traditional plan won, and that conservative faction in the global church, in the United States, it's more of that's about a third. The traditional plan represents about a third to 25% of the voice of the United Methodist Church in the country. So 75% of churches would reject what happened at General Conference within the United States. So just to tell you, things got far more restricted. Same-sex weddings follows what was already in place, that they're not allowed in United Methodist churches or on United Methodist Church properties. And clergy are not allowed to conduct a same-sex wedding. some of the specific restrictions around that. We are not even allowed to, we can participate in the wedding as a layperson would, but we're not allowed to conduct the wedding as clergy, and there's more information about that in the packet. There are more restrictions regarding ordination and candidacy. If someone's interested in being a clergy person, feels called to be a clergy person in the United Methodist Church, there are a number of things that happen before you can be licensed or commissioned or ordained. Those are three different categories of being allowed to be clergy in the United Methodist Church. So it starts out in a local church, and then the local church nominates persons who have those gifts. And then it goes from there to the district committee on ordained ministry. And it goes from there to the board of ordained ministry. And now the district committees on ordained ministry and the boards of ordained ministry are not allowed to recommend persons for candidacy if they identify as LGBTQ. That is now a much tighter restriction than what was in place before. And the definition, it used to be self-avowed practicing homosexuals. That was where the restriction was. But now they've tightened that, made it far more restrictive. So that originally only applied to persons living in same-sex marriages. But now they're also including those who live in same-sex civil unions or domestic partnerships. And they're also including a new category if you have a public avowal. So someone before could still be clergy if they were self-avowed but not practicing. So if you were self-avowed and celibate, you could still be clergy, but now that's taken away. So self-avowed is enough from what I'm studying to disqualify a person for candidacy for ministry. Bishops cannot ordain persons who are LGBTQ, and bishops cannot be consecrated as bishops if they are themselves LGBTQ. Something else that's changed is the trial and complaint process. Say a clergy person conducts a same-sex wedding and it really offends someone in the congregation, they can file a complaint with the DS or with the bishop. In the past, the bishop had certain options. So the bishop could dismiss that and not give much credence to it. That's something that bishops could regularly do. Say if they knew the person just was upset about something, or the person could be calling out a clergy. They just may not like that clergy person and they didn't really care about same-sex wedding issues, but they want to complain about the clergy person, so they pick that. You know what I'm saying? So they just pick that as the issue. So in the past, that kind of thing could have been dismissed, but now that is no longer an option. The bishop can send the matter immediately to trial, or can try to reach a negotiated settlement, a bit like a plea bargain with a clergy person. And in the past, that would have ended it, although now, if the bishop decides to reach a negotiated settlement with the clergy, the just resolution that they reach must now state the harm caused by the clergy and how that harm will be addressed. And the person who raised the complaint must be party to that resolution process, and that person also must be satisfied, so that every effort is made to have the complainant agree to the negotiated resolution. Does that make sense? We can follow up with questions on that if you'd like. Another topic that came up that passed was this exit strategy. So this is a new provision. If a church wants to exit the denomination because of issues related to LGBTQ matters, there is an allowance for that runs through, I believe it's the end of 2023. And there are special conditions that must be met in order to break the trust clause with the larger denomination. All United Methodist Church properties are held in trust by the larger denomination, and so originally that's not something that could have been broken, but it can be broken now if the church is able to meet specific conditions. Number one, they have to be able to pay any apportionments, that percentage It's a complicated calculation, but it's a particular percentage of our budget related to ministries that we pay to the conference every year. It's a somewhat mandated payment, somewhat not mandated. It's required as expected. So, and your churches don't always pay that full amount, but their expectation is that churches will. So if any part of that was not paid in the previous 12 months, that amount has to be caught up. And then the church has to prepay for the next 12 months. So that's the first amount, or first condition that has to be met. And then after that, church would have to pay any of its portion of unfunded pension liability. So for retired clergy, which you are soon to be, churches help to support clergy in retirement. And so there would be, through the financial arm of the conference and the larger general conference, an amount given to each church that would be their portion of that total payment that would be due. The next condition that would have to be met would be paying off any indebtedness of loans or mortgages or such for the property. And in addition to that, this was a revision. Well, the church itself would have to vote by 2/3 majority of members who were present at a special call meeting that they want to disaffiliate. That's another condition. And what the Judicial Council added was that the annual conference, we're part of the Virginia annual conference. The annual conference also gets to take a vote on whether or not they will allow that church to disaffiliate, and that would be a simple majority. So those are the basics. There's some of the things that didn't pass. Originally, the Board of Ordained Ministry would have had to certify, persons who were serving on the board would have had to do a written certification that they would follow the book of discipline regarding LGBTQ matters. That was deemed unconstitutional. The Board of Ordained Ministry was to be required to conduct investigations, including social media sites, about potential ministry candidates, and that was deemed unconstitutional. That was to determine whether or not they were LGBTQ. And the GCF&A, that's the General Conference Funds Administration, something like that. It's the fund arm, finance arm of the church. Originally, what was passed at General Conference was that they could withhold funds or withdraw a logo from an annual conference that wasn't meeting all of these restrictions. But that was deemed unconstitutional. There are a couple other things that weren't well, but questions about that before we go on? I know I just shared with you a bunch of information at you, and there's a letter, the second item in the packet is a general summary from the Bishop of some of what came out of the Judicial Council.